This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a fairly big daily wrestling news update for you. The big news of the day is PW Insider has reported that Brock Lesnar has not been under WWE contract since WrestleMania 36. This has been confirmed by Dave Meltzer. And I guess negotiations between Brock Lesnar and the WWE are currently paused because apparently the company will pursue negotiations more seriously when he could be a bigger draw. Right now, they're not doing shows in front of fans. It's not like he's going to make a big difference in ticket sales. There's not really much going on as far as big pay-per-views anytime soon. AEW could technically sign him. Of course, that would bring a lot of attention to AEW, but they don't seem to want to throw really huge money at the really big stars. They didn't go after Randy Orton that seriously, for instance, although Lesnar is a much bigger star than Randy Orton and can make a much bigger difference for AEW than Randy Orton could have. Of course, Brock Lesnar usually likes to take his time re-signing. He often will tease an MMA return, but at this point, the heavyweight division in UFC is pretty stacked. Francis Ngannou could probably easily take care of Lesnar. John Jones is going to heavyweight, another guy that could easily beat Lesnar. Stipe Miocic would be a very tough fight. Remember that Brock Lesnar hasn't won his last 3 MMA fights. He got knocked out first round in 2 of them. And then the most recent one, which was a while ago now, it was declared a no contest because he failed the drug test. So we'll see what happens with Lesnar. WWE will probably offer him more money than AEW could possibly offer him. He is, of course, according to the Wrestling Observer, Brian Alvarez said this actually, the highest paid wrestler in the history of WWE other than The Rock, who has made some huge paydays coming back for one-time appearances in recent years. I also believe that once The Rock's daughter starts wrestling, you're going to see more of The Rock in WWE because I think he'll help his daughter get over. Apparently, according to the Wrestling Observer, Mauro Ranallo is finished with WWE. They've mutually agreed to part ways. He's also a combat sports announcer. He's called some major boxing and MMA fights over the years. He is a strange guy in my dealings with him. I knew him back in the Matt Rats days, and for a while he was living in the Hart House. For a while he was dating, I think, one of Jim Neidhart's daughters. Jim Neidhart had 3 daughters. And I'll always remember one day we were practicing in the dungeon, and like Mauro came down looking very strange and like just stuck his head in the door and gave like this really weird look around and then just disappeared back upstairs. And all of us are just looking at each other like, what a strange man. Ric Flair has confirmed that his daughter Charlotte could be out of action for up to a year, as there was an issue with her breast augmentation surgery, and she also has a rotator cuff injury. So I could definitely see WWE going hard after Tessa Blanchard, who is also a free agent right now. If I were WWE, I would definitely sign Tessa. As everyone that's a subscriber to this channel knows, I've been posting a lot of Tessa Blanchard matches lately from PCW Ultra with their consent as part of an agreement that I have with them to air a bunch of their matches. I'm going to actually put on a Karrion Kross match from PCW soon. I posted one that involved Terry Funk and Kevin Sullivan earlier today. Posted a John Morrison versus RVD match. And there's lots more coming. But yes, if I were WWE, I would sign Tessa Blanchard because it seems like there's becoming a bit of a hole in the women's division lately. And she is the most over female heel in wrestling right now. PW Insider is reporting that WWE has signed Josh Briggs, Kurt Stallion, and Brandy Lauren from the Evolve company that went out of business. They only had about 35,000 subscribers. Don't know who this Brandy Lauren is, but I highly doubt she has as many views on YouTube as Lady Yasmin has. But for whatever reason, some of the Great North Wrestling talent, like Lady Yasmin and Jeremy Prophet, always get overlooked by the WWE, even though they're far more talented and far more known than a lot of the people that they sign. Amber Nova is one of the top female free agents. She's had NXT matches. She's had Impact matches. And tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be interviewing her live on the Hannibal TV. Rodney, Mack, and Jazz I'm interviewing next week. I was supposed to interview Magic Schwartz this week from the Over the Top movie, as well as Grunt the Wrestling movie and Lionheart. That's being delayed to later on in the week. Victoria Vaughn from PCW Ultra, gorgeous woman. I'm interviewing her next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time live. I've got a bunch of interviews coming up, working on more bigger ones as well. Savio Vega is coming up soon. He's had some abdominal illness issues recently, so his interview got delayed. Terry Gordy's daughter, I'm also supposed to interview on Friday. She's wrestling now. Of course, follow us on Instagram at The Hannibal TV. We're also on Twitter at The Hannibal TV. I am on Twitter at Devon Hannibal. I'll answer some of your questions here. Will Lady Yasmin return? Speaking of her, I'm going to try and convince her, but right now we're not even able to run, and apparently there's not even going to be a vaccine out until the spring. Although I understand from Kevin Sullivan that there's going to be a series of matches for the Hannibal TV shot from the Blood Hunters Forest of Fear that are going to be released in the fall featuring the Blood Hunter. So that should be very interesting. DVSMYK says Mauro should announce for Great North Wrestling. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of Mauro Ranallo. He actually announced my very first match. I never was a fan of him. Sam says Mauro is a dweeb. Mauro has legit mental issues, apparently. Yeah, and Mike also says that. That's probably why they released him. They thought he was strange. Tom Gibney Jr. says regarding Mauro. Mojo Orizon says, I don't know if I'm not going to repeat that. Ben likes my lovely background. Thank you. I do post, by the way, news updates and other footage on our The Hannibal TV Instagram account. I also have a second YouTube channel, Devon Nicholson. Jeremy says, good evening to me. Would I interview Thunderbolt Patterson now? Yes, I would. I don't know if I'll ever run into him, but I would. Guitar likes Renee Young better than Mauro Ranallo. Sam Lentz says a vaccine is a lie. Well, whether it's a lie or not, they're not going to open up stuff fully until a vaccine is out. So we're kind of fucked for running events until a vaccine comes out, unfortunately. Ryback is a total dick to the guy that says interview Ryback. For one thing, he wanted $4,000 for an hour American, which he would not get back. And then he was really rude to me. He messaged me on Twitter, and I had never even messaged him on Twitter, only to tell me he was blocking me on Twitter. What kind of a loser does that? Total loser, in my opinion. Pika says AEW needs to sign Tessa. I think that WWE will offer her more money than AEW will. Darren says RIP Kamala. I agree. Darren, am I in the dungeon? No, my dungeon is in my basement. Chris wants me to interview Tessa. I might. I actually might. Anthony, do I think Brock is done with WWE? No, I don't. Definitely do not think that. So follow my interview. If you guys aren't working tomorrow at 1 p.m. with Amber Nova, that's going to be a good one. And as I said, I'm working on more. I might try and get Lex Luger back for another interview too. Bas Rutten too coming up. I'm going to check in with him this week. Have a great night.